What's up?
I'm not ready yet. I've been letting it on Zoom.
Oh yeah,
okay.
go ahead, Paula.
Yep.
Recording in progress.
Good, thank you.
I need to be promoted as panelist.
So when you,
Gotcha. Sorry, you know I'm working.
when you,
Recording in progress.
All right, time being 7:01, I call to order the Franklin School Committee meeting. Meetings are recorded by Franklin TV and shown on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29, as well as recorded by Franklin Matters. All right, well, summertime in full swing. No pledge students. We'll still, all right.
students tonight.
All right, we'll still do rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as is customary, we'll pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Review of agenda. Agenda look okay to everybody? All right. Payment of bills is all set. Payroll, Vice Chair McNeil.
Payroll's in order.
Great. All right. No student rep comments?
No student, we do have two students on our basketball team who are here tonight in the agenda later, Chloe and Ellie, who will be here with Mr. Layton to talk. So we do have students in the crowd, and they're here. And it's summer mode, so I'm business on top, and I'm wearing my swim trunks on the bottom. Just so you keep you on your toes.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the visual.
You're welcome. Okay.
All right. We'll jump to Superintendent's Report.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide an update on our hiring and staffing. As is common every year at this time during the summer, we try to provide the school committee with up-to-date information. Mr. Storlazzi, our HR director, provided a detailed memorandum in your packets for review, but just to highlight for the community, currently, when this was written on, it's dated July 9th. This is 2 days old at this point. And we have a total of 29 vacancies, which includes 25 FEA teacher positions that are vacant. This information is accurate as of writing this memo, and he expects that more internal movement will occur from some of the postings that were posted up with new vacancies and shifting and moving of personnel. I did sign 5 letters today, either shifting people or hiring people who were recommended for positions, because the minute that the postings went up, our team has been working, as I said they would, really actively to try to field our team for the year. So that's been a priority where they've prioritized that in the school. So I will be able to provide more detail as we continue to take that process on. In addition, once we finalize all of our budget changes, we anticipate filling every position that's been allotted and funded and communicated to you all. You had a line by line, and you knew the recommendations for the bringbacks that you voted on last meeting that we held. All of the positions that have been discussed publicly within your purview and your authority have been posted, and we're actively trying to seek positions. So currently we're at 29. I anticipate in short order, the next time we meet, we'll be able to provide an update to the community. In between, I am anticipating that we'll be able to provide you as a committee with just an interim update on just some of the progress that we're making throughout that time. And For scheduling, I was at the Franklin High School this morning. They reached out to all the students who were affected individually, and I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Soulard, Dr. Weber, her administrative team for the work, and Mrs. McVeigh and the guidance department and their team for the work they're doing to take care of the master schedule, and through their thorough review and some of their creative scheduling, and with the support of Dr. Rogers and her team, they've been able to problem solve and mitigate and offer as many courses as possible. The impact to students is 269 students, including my own. And I believe we've done all that we can, and I'm incredibly grateful for the work and the efforts of the department. When I was there yesterday to discuss the master schedule to see where we were at with progress, it's basically like they're in March. What we typically get done in March, they're doing now in a shortened timeline. Families received an email if they were impacted, and they had the opportunity to come in over the next multiple weeks because we know people are on vacation. And Monday, approximately 50 families came in to meet to discuss their requests, and then about 25, I think, today came in. And I anticipate next Monday and Tuesday we'll see something similar as we work through. But they've been communicating with their families throughout, and I'm confident, and Mr. Soulard is confident that with these requests being resolved, that they'll be able to run a master schedule, and their goal is still to get that done in August and have that on time for students as we prepare to enter the 24-25 school year. And it's all based on the latest staffing decisions that have been made, most recently as last week when we had the special meeting. Is that last week? 2 weeks, thank you. Okay. On June 20th, our administrative team took part in the FPS Third Annual Administrative Pre-Treat. At the end of the school year, our school leaders come together to review the year, set priorities for the upcoming year. And as I mentioned earlier, we remain focused on the budget. We did that through the spring, and it's really moved into the summer, and which has affected our ability to plan forward beyond the more immediate, which is really prepping for the 24-25 school year. But it was a very productive time, and we've identified areas that we'll continue to work through over the summer in order to catch up to where we typically are within the year. Our goal is to try to start the school year off delivering on the schedules, the hiring, the staffing, and the plans to kick the year off for 24-25 with an eye towards 25-26 as well, which you'll hear an update tonight from Colin Boisvert, who's here tonight with us, and we'll share more. We have our administrative retreat in August. It's in the first week of August, and that's a 3-day leadership retreat where we continue to plan and engage our leaders in team building activities, welcome our newly appointed administrators, and then continue focusing and setting attainable goals for the 24-25 school year, building upon the progress we've made over the summer and at the pre-treat. And this work lays the foundation for all of our school-based plans that come before you for approval in the fall. So things are in motion, and we will continue to keep you updated on our progress as we move forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. We'll start. Ms. Gallagher.
No questions right now. Thank you.
I just had one with the students that are coming in. Is there any prioritization for them and being able to make sure that they secure classes to make up for the losses?
So the students who are impacted have a chance to come in and identify additional electives or additional courses that they would take in lieu of ones that we're not offering. So they're able to, I sat through this. I'm going to put my parent hat on. I went in. There's a course being offered. My son's not eligible. It's not offered. So we had to then look through the program of studies on our own, come in, make suggestions on what we would like in its place. So if we go back to time in March, basically the request that they have, that class isn't running. So we purposely didn't run courses so that we can start with everyone having the right number of requests for the year and then run it like we normally would for a school year. So the only part that they did was requested that they would like to take a class. They weren't placed in any classes, so it wasn't run. And I appreciate the question because that would be, that's pretty specific and detailed. But just so everyone knows out there, we are at the stage where you ask for the classes that you want to take. And if it's not offered, we do this in March if we're not running a class typically. If, say, 14 kids wanted a class and we've decided we're not going to run that class for the year, you have to pick an alternative. That's pretty common, but given the state of where we're at and the timing and the way this is kind of shaken out, we're trying to just make sure that we have every family in and make sure that every kid has requested at the same starting line. So when they run the schedule, it runs and it works through its conflicts, and then you get the schedule that's basically based on the courses you've asked for. So
Thanks for your
it's a
explanation.
great follow-up.
So actually, to piggyback off of the high school scheduling, so we're about a little under 200 people that have, students have not come in as of yet. What happens if the student doesn't come in before August?
So they'll remove the course that's not running. When that course is gone, students will have a choice between a directed study could be put in its place, or the guidance counselor will continue to make attempts, personal attempts. Once we have the bulk through the drop-in times, we'll figure out who's left, and then their strategy will be to personally reach out to families they haven't heard from to run it. And then when they run the schedule, there'll be another round of conflicts, and I could get a call that, hey, something doesn't work, they didn't get an alternative, you have to look to a different class. And that's the process we normally go through at the high school for scheduling. I should also mention, if it's okay, the middle school and elementary are also going through their process to schedule. It's just a different process because requests, the schedules aren't built that way, but they are working, those administrative teams are working hard to figure out how they'll work within the staffing they have at each level to determine based on the latest decisions that we made around bringbacks and whatnot. So that's actively happening as well.
And then just to confirm, the work that's being done right now is funded based off of the one-time funds that we got from the town?
The work being done by anyone who's in the guidance department or a scheduler or someone who typically gets their job done like this during the school year, yes, we would be counting on one-time funds to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for this update. Regarding the vacancies, and maybe this would be best addressed later during the budget update, but because as you mentioned, I see a number of the positions that are listed here are the ones that were mentioned in the previous meeting in terms of the bringbacks, but I know you had also mentioned that we'd had, I believe it was 18 resignations. Are some of those also accounted for here?
They're accounted for in this.
Okay.
That's my understanding from Mr. Storlazzi, that they are. There are new postings and our resignations are included. I will confirm that, but that's my understanding. Do you know if Ken mentioned that? Because we asked for a staff, I wanted a staffing report on all vacancies, so that's why I'm saying that to you.
Okay,
Complete, okay.
all right. And just to follow up to that, do you know if at this time we plan on trying to restore all the positions of the resignations as well? Or are we trying to shuffle things around for enrollment or for different class participation? Or is the plan to restore all those positions to the best
So,
that we can?
anyone who resigned after we finalized our budget with the line by line, we anticipated having those positions, so we would anticipate restoring those positions.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Just a couple of things myself, with the vacancies. I remember in the middle of COVID, there was that one summer, it was like astronomical, the number of vacancies that we had. Where does is this kind of like on average, is this a little bit higher than, what it has been in past years? Kind of COVID
This has
notwithstanding.
been, we've had higher numbers in the past, however, this has been more there's been more work because of the shifting. So for a position we fill, it could mean we've reached out to someone we previously cut. If they haven't taken another job, you're trying to say, hey, we have someone else resigned, now this position's open. If we knew about the resignation prior to the cuts, we cut the position with the resignation so it didn't impact a human. That's just how an organization would operate. There are, but the resignations as they come in, some of them we didn't count on, particularly as we move into the end of June or post June 12th, right? Is ultimately where we start to see that. So we have been fortunate for a few people who we were able to bring back, but basically position was eliminated, someone else resigned, and now they were able to fill a position. That's not as common as we'd like, but We are just, every single position is a little tricky. We post it internally, externally, and then we look at who's interested. We try to look at who's been cut, who could have been in that position, or who took a job maybe at a different level, just to stay within the district. So it's been a little bit tricky and challenging, and when I say that, that's why my team has needed the time to, the bandwidth and time to dedicate to this, is because we're doing everything we can to try to keep us as stable as possible, and that takes a lot of time and phone calls and interviews and screening and committees and hiring. And if we had somebody that we did right by the kids in Franklin, and they were employed by us, that's a much, if we can get them to come back, that's actually a much more streamlined process than someone who we've never met before, that we have to vet. We have to vet people, so it's been a bit tricky and challenging, but the team, that's what the team's been doing since the last time we met, is just trying to fill every position and try to see who we can find that we've had that we would like to see come back, and that's not always the case. Some have taken jobs other places, but.
Okay, thanks. Because that's something too, when you talk about like the summer pre-treat, that I wanted to, give accommodations to you and to your entire team, because it's not the school year hits and, you guys are all on summer vacation. There's a tremendous amount of work that just continues to go year round for you, for your entire department, that I know is certainly, I see and I appreciate, and I know, to have so many of these positions that get cut, some get brought back, and they kind of go back and forth like this, it's not easy. But thank you very much for all the incredible work that you guys are doing and doing overtime for this community.
I'll pass that on to my team, because they're
Please do.
ultimately the principals, assistant principals, our leadership, our directors, our assistant superintendents, everyone, in HR, finance, everyone who's involved. I'll be sure to pass that along, because they're ultimately the team who's been at this work. And I think we're a bit disadvantaged and behind now other districts that resolve their budgets in April, and then had May and June to do this while school was in session. And even like from scheduling and hiring, those two functions you try to wrap up before you end the school year. So we're working overtime to try to make this happen for the students in town.
And I appreciate it. I know we've had conversations before about, those communities that they've been done with this for months and months and months. And unfortunately, kind of just given the circumstances that this community, the hand that we dealt you, you guys had like 36 hours or something like that to kind of finalize. We actually had a voted on budget before the end of the fiscal year. So what you guys have been able to do has been outstanding, given the limitations that unfortunately this community has kind of put on you guys. But thank you very much. I appreciate it all. Then moving on, you got guest presentations and discussion action items, none. So discussion only items, we got the FY25 budget update.
Great, yep. We have two discussion only items for you tonight. One is the FY25 budget update. The second will be the school reorganization phase 1 update. We said that during that process we would continue to update the school committee and the community on the work in those efforts. So I'm joined for the first time, Ms. Malati is joining us here as school business administrator in the seat. She typically would sit about a foot away from where she is now, but she's made her way closer, and we're excited to have her on board and welcome you and thank you for being here with us. And Ms. Malati was pivotal through the budget process, behind the scenes, crunching numbers, working through any type of information that either I needed, Dr. Dutch needed, anyone from the committee who's reached out. She's played a hand in helping us get that information. So I'm excited to welcome you and have you here. This will be her first budget update, and it's ultimately to recap kind of where we are based on the latest meeting we had, and just to kind of have it out there for the community. And we're happy to answer questions after that, so I'll kick it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. A little nervous, but let's do this. As you all know, on May 22nd, the town council approved an increase of $3,335, bringing our total FY25 appropriation to $75.3 million, and that resulted in 37 positions being eliminated. On June 26th, the town council approved an additional $1.145 million, and that was in addition to the previously mentioned $3.3 million. This additional amount provide a total increase of $480,000, or millions, and an increase of 6.22% over the FY24 town appropriation. The revised FY25 total budget appropriation is now $76,469,829, which represents less than level service by $2.8 million. The additional increase will enable us, however, to rehire 13 out of those 37 eliminated positions. Included in your packet is the revised line-by-line item, and we are happy to answer any questions you might have.
If I could add just one thing too, Ms. Malati did talk about just the 1 million that's not committed at this time, but there was one-time funds that were discussed at the town council meeting and we talked about this during our special meeting, but just to include in the recap. Yep, on May 17th, the town council will July 17th, they will take up a vote on whether or not to allocate, but our understanding is that's something that they are seriously considering doing. It's a $1 million, but it's one-time funding. We talked at length about this during our last meeting. So I do want to thank the town council for the 1.1 million that's gone into the budget to restore some of those positions for us. And the 1 million is still on the table, TBD. We did outline how we would utilize that funding, and it would not be to support staffing as we move forward, just because of the fiscal responsibility that we have to sustain a budget within what we have. And we just decided, and we've talked about that as well at length. So I just wanted to add those two pieces as part of the budget update.
Thank you very much. We'll start actually remote.
No questions on this one from me.
No, okay, thank you.
No questions either.
Thank you for this update. Just one question, and maybe a bit of a follow-up to my previous question. So in regards to the rehire of the 13, and I think Lucas, you kind of alluded to that we've been starting to reach out to people to rehire. How has that been going in terms of the number of positions we've been able to bring back so far? Of the total, either of these 13 or of the resignations, if you don't know.
Is the question who was eliminated that's coming back?
Just in general, how many of the positions have we been able to bring back so far?
It says right in the document, 13 of the positions. 13 of the positions were
And
full.
have we been able to fill all 13 of those?
They're
as of now?
posted. So for example, if
Okay.
you recall from the last meeting, we had 2 kindergarten teachers, a 5th grade teacher, a music teacher at the middle school level, a reading specialist. At the high school, there was a business teacher, a librarian, PE and wellness, and math position. So those are all included in the digital learning integrations were part of that 1.1. Those are your 13. And then separate of that, we modeled out if we were to receive 1 million in funding, we laid out what other, but there's not a position necessarily associated with any of the 1 million. So 13 would be the number based on that, the 1.1.
Okay, and where are we so far in
Oh,
bringing?
hiring of those 13, you
Yeah.
mean? Now I understand the question. They're posted. We've hired music, which was a reinstatement of one of our music teachers who's returned. I don't want to go too off the cuff, but
That's
I can
fine.
say there's 13 positions I think we've hired for, formally hired 2 of them, I think.
Okay.
But there are some in the queue either through just the progress I'm getting on interviews. There's some finalists I'm meeting with on Friday. I have 3 finalist interviews on Friday that have gone through like a committee.
Okay.
So I have 3 on Friday, 1 on Thursday. So things are moving. I signed some letters today for people who were reinstated, so it's kind of moving. And I think what I think will be key is if we can get to August, I think a lot will shake out in the next few weeks. It's just so soon to when we finalized our budget. So that's why I don't have more information.
Oh, no, just curious, thank
Yep.
you.
Essentially, if the town council had made these adjustments prior, in March, April, we wouldn't have laid those 13 off in the first place. Am I correct? So, and Jonna gave us the dates, but I think it was, so on the 26th. I want to encourage, I guess I don't have a question as much as just a couple comments. I just wrote down a quote that you said, Lucas. You said, it's been a bit tricky and challenging, which I wrote, you think, like under it, because I can't even imagine how hard it's been for you to try to kick off summer. But thanks for everything your team's doing. I guess this question sort of is for Jonna. So, I'm already thinking about next budget season. I'm already concerned about next budget season. So, if there's a way, and you may have this under control because you're savvy and I've seen your work, if there's a way to I anticipate that our town council will have to put this out again to people and just do a better job sort of leading the conversations to the community who maybe don't have children. I think the parents were super engaged and really supportive of what we tried to do, but I think the larger community wasn't quite sure. And they think that the redistricting was gonna solve our problem, and it's not. So I think we're probably going to have to work with them again to come up with a number sooner than later. So as we sort of reduced from the 81 down to the 75 and then up to the 76, if there's a little side spreadsheet kind of tracking like what we're cutting and what we might be able to bring back, if we could just kind of keep our eye on that, because I do anticipate that, I don't know what their plan is, but I think it's going to be a very challenging budget season if we don't at least take another shot at it. So that's all I have. I want to encourage anybody watching at home, anybody who has not seen the June 26th town council meeting. It was a packed house, and they talked about some of the things that they would have to reduce on the municipal side in order to fully fund a budget, as our superintendent recommends. So I would go back and watch that, because I think that I don't know, I wish that it turned out a little bit differently. We're appreciative that we were able to bring back these positions, but I also just want to point out that they were able to come up with an extra $1 million without laying anyone off. And there were things said at that meeting that I think that the parents need to hear, just to know that, those leading our town and the priorities that they have. So that's all I got. Thanks.
So, based on the new
Yes,
school,
yeah.
so we are actually going to rebuild our budget from the ground up, based on the new school reconfiguration, so that we actually advocate for what each school needs.
Great. I love your enthusiasm in here. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for a great first update. We're not making this job easy for you. Sorry.
Right in the frying pan in Franklin.
Yeah.
You should ask me.
If I can get through this year, I'm good
I
at
said that last year. So
anything.
Just
I'm just kidding.
Dave's been doing that for 6 years.
keep saying the same
Just
Try to
refrain.
add a little levity.
Yeah. But and just a few things myself too. Yeah, I do want to, I'm appreciative. We got this increase, like I said, like 6.2, % increase over FY24. Thankful for the town council's appropriation with that, but also just to the wider community. That 6.2, even before that June 26th, when they had an additional allocation, it was already like the highest allocation that Franklin had seen, likely historically. It was like a $4 million plus increase. That is not the average, And I'd be shocked if we see, another 6% increase kind of going into next year. I bring that up because, as my colleague had mentioned, like the budget season is not over. I tried to get away from it at the last meeting, and my colleague, Mr. Charles, called me on it and said it starts right away. We're not. It's likely we're not going to get a 6% increase next year. But even with that 6% increase, we're still having to cut almost $3 million just from level service. So just taking what what your kids' experience had last year. They're already starting $3 million in the hole next year. And because, it's very unlike, as everyone's saying, like the pie just isn't big enough. It's just not mathematically possible to kind of continually see from the school budget, a 6% increase year over year over year, that unless something is done from a whole community perspective, it's very likely we're going to continue to see even more drastic cuts because this is a great allocation, and I'm incredibly appreciative of what we have. But even with that allocation, we're cutting for $3 million just from what we tried to do last year. No growth, no expansions of anything. So I know, made a couple of comments that we're on some of us are on summer vacation right now. But for the families at home that are watching this, now is not the time to kind of go on summer vacation with some of these issues. Now's the time to kind of continue to stay engaged and an active participant in a lot of these conversations, because it's FY26 and beyond is only going to look more scary unless we can increase the size of the pie. And Lucas, I also want to just commend you, your whole team, but just in terms of that $1 million, that one-time allocation, which, as my colleague kind of mentioned, that we're expecting to kind of see come out of town council next week. Just like the commitment that this is from going to be like non-reoccurring, positions and items, because I know it's enticing to kind of all of a sudden, you get $1 million kind of dangling in front of you to try to bring back a whole bunch of salaried positions, but only knowing that they're going to have to get cut again all over, and we're kind of right back in the same position of losing critical people. But maybe if things kind of go a different way, we get the position back. So I want to applaud you and again your entire staff on just like the direction about how you're doing it. And I know I was at that packed meeting, how you were also kind of just laying it all out for the town council as well. That while this million will be spent effectively and efficiently, it's not going to be spent on positions that are just going to have to end up being cut and be a detriment to the kiddos moving forward. So, thank you again on that. Just how you're handling yourself through this entire process. All right, but then we'll kind of jump over to school reorganization, phase 1.
Okay, so phase 1 update is will be presented to you tonight. It's in your packet. We're joined today by Mr. Colin Boisvert, who is our food service director. You're probably saying, what's a food service director doing presenting on a phase 1 update? I would ask the same question. Colin is not only a food service director, just in case you didn't know, he's also food service director of the year from Massachusetts. And after winning that award, instead of sitting back and saying, I won, climbed the mountain, he approached me and said that he was looking for additional responsibilities. And he saw our team and how we're all working really hard on behalf of Franklin and the schools, and he wanted to be a part of playing a greater role. So he's also pursuing his degree to become a town administrator someday. And this was a great opportunity to get involved with some of the leadership aspects of this role. So Colin's here as part of our team. I've had him join our reorg team, basically district reorg, as an additional member, and he has been phenomenal. He met with the subcommittee that met for its final meeting to talk through some of the information where they were at with some of the planning. But he's worked very closely with the Office of Teaching and Learning and Student Services and the Superintendent's Office as we continue to keep an eye on, not only we're working on budget and trying to figure out for the 24-25 school year, but also keeping an eye to make sure that we hit our timelines for phase 1. And Colin's here tonight to provide an update and answer any questions. between our team. So Colin, I will kick it over to you.
All right, thank you, Lucas. So for the school reorganization update, this is the Phase 1, June 2024 status update. And it's divided into 4 sections: the administrative teams and structures, staff assignments, families, and operations. For administrative teams and structures, the administrative team structure has been identified and communicated. Principals were selected and communicated to the community as well. For staff assignments, the district worked with the FEA on an interest survey which was released. This information will be analyzed as the new buildings begin to take shape. For families, we're always looking for an ongoing opportunity to engage with the community, so we'll leave that one as pending. The updated website was rolled out last week and is currently looking at updates this summer, preparing for the new school year. The redistricting community volunteer form was also released. And for operations, the traffic study was conducted. This information will be used along with the information from the traffic engineering team to look at the broader picture of traffic flow for the new schools. And the school boundary lines, the preliminary data was shared with the school committee subcommittee meeting a few weeks ago, and the development will continue into Phase 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much congratulations on the award, and thanks for stepping up too. And you've done some tremendous work already. Excited to see where it's going to go from here. Switch things up. So we'll start on this end here.
All right, thank you. So we don't have the line yet, right? I get that question.
It's currently in development, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I get that question. And thank you and congrats. We can use all the help. This is the answer to how we get creative. We take our food service director, we have him managing the redistricting, so, awesome. I don't have any questions. You guys are doing great. I love this sheet. I think that the way you guys are updating the public and streamlining it is super helpful.
If I could just add to
Yeah.
so this is Phase 1. This template will exist with additional details. We build out the website. Colin did mention that, but I wanted to just point that out. Colin's done a ton of work to look at an analysis of where the line should be and how it should be divided. Balance of enrollment is a driving factor, but we're also looking at every other demographic area. And just like every town, there's never a clean line where you can draw this perfectly divided north and south line that has all the same demographics equally. So we have to make some decisions that we'll bring before you, but he's worked really hard and has that. One thing we're also sensitive to is not to conflate messages on the upcoming school year and the following. So we preliminarily surveyed staff K-8 to get a sense of where they see themselves basically working, right? What level, what grade, that type of thing. The itinerants, specialists, things like multi-grade, there's a section for that as well. But we were trying to get a sense of, and when you think about grade configurations in 4th grade versus 5th grade and 6th grade, and basically which north and south, that type of thing. So it's just, we will redo that with all staff again. That was part of the agreement we made when we worked with the FEA in a few of our meetings, was to get some preliminary data, just look at it, but then we will need to redo this in the fall with all staff and create a clearer picture. We did send an email out, as Colin mentioned, with the principals. They're chomping at the bit to reach out to their communities, so we are working through this process and we're trying to be as thoughtful and deliberate as possible. I'm also sensitive to this 2-week window where the principals have been really honed in on their scheduling for the following, because we have to rebuild schedules because of lost staff. But they are going to be ready to move and continue to communicate and build this out as we go.
Sure.
I'm confident that we can do that.
And I think, and it's probably worth pointing out too, is by consolidating schools, one of the efficiencies that results from this is not having to move lines as often, because
Correct.
When I first moved to Franklin, we were renting and looking for our house, and we were renting at the Westerly.
Mm-hmm.
So there were kids at the Westerly. It was like, oh, these kids go to Jefferson, these kids go to Oak, these kids go, and it was just because I think a lot of times the developments come and people don't think kids are there, but there's tons of kids there too. Mm-hmm. So I don't underestimate how complicated it is. So hopefully it'll the consolidation will help with that going forward in the future, so, thank you.
Thank you for this update and congratulations on, well, coming on board in your capacity this and for, Food Service Director of the Year for Massachusetts. Congratulations on that, though. Lucas, I will say, was cruel for you to mention that and then not to have snacks for us, so.
Is that why you were smiling at me when I was talking?
Yeah,
I could sense there was something.
yeah, so that, I'm gonna ding you for that one. But, but anyways, congratulations nonetheless. You mentioned the traffic study here, and traffic study was something that during the redistricting process came up once or twice. Do we have like any preliminary results from that we're aware of, or maybe just like a kind of top line takeaway?
We have information from each school, but we want to take that data and work with the traffic engineering team when they start their work.
Okay, all right, thank you.
They did meet with facilities and visited schools while they were in session as part of their study. We gave them the baseline data, so every school spent 1 week, the same week, I think it was the last week of May or the first week of June, basically doing counts on every vehicle, every bus, every van, walker, to get a sense of kind of who's entering, who's parking and working, like how many staff vehicles, to try to get a sense. And we shared that data with their team, and the traffic team did come out like a week after that to just observe. They have suggestions. They're putting together some information that we will be sharing out. I don't have a timeline of when that will be ready, but they did. We insisted that obviously happened before. It happened this past school year, as opposed to waiting until the fall.
Yep.
To try to move up to get as much data up front as possible, just given the urgency and the need to make sure we stay on track.
Awesome. Thank you for that update. I think that's it for me. So thank you very much.
Cool. So thank you. Questions about the phase. So we did the announcement for the principals in terms of who would be for the four schools, middle school. Have we identified who the assistant principals will be?
We just completed that. We just finished, so we have conducted that analysis. We've communicated. We just haven't put that out publicly yet, but we will. We will be putting that out. We're trying to develop a system of how we'll provide updates that are consistent, and also with staffing as things happen. We're trying to figure out. I was sensitive to not just put out every time we start hiring. I was concerned about conflating this upcoming year with all the staffing and then thinking about next year and the optics of that. So maybe that was me overthinking it, but I'm just trying to read the community just based on my interactions and emails, and I just was trying to get a sense. So we do have that information. Our assistant principal crew and team is going to be returning with us in the fall, and there's also a few positions that it doesn't shake out as cleanly, because the positions are, you have assistant principals, there's other roles within the district, so folks are, we're looking at who's interested in the whole. So we have to continue to develop that out, and we didn't want to get too far ahead of any staff information, but I think the leadership team is a reasonable thing that we prioritize as locking in, so we'll be able to share that as part of an update or have it available on our website or in a feed. So
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then I know the boundary is still being defined and finalized. Do we have a target date that you're marching towards?
it's really going to be dependent on me. But we are pretty close. I mean, we've really looked at, we have a point on a map for every student, and we have demographic data that supports kind of that information. One thing that we need to do is we need to figure out when's the timing of releasing that information. So we want to build the schools so we can communicate. We had a meeting with our PCCs about how they'll be set up. They had some great suggestions and ideas and things that I wasn't even thinking about when we entered the meeting. So there's clearly a lot of thought there that can help us. So I think the principals that have been appointed are looking to know their communities as well. And I think it's going to help us all decentralize information and get it in the hands of the right people. So with that said, I've told the principals, I've just been a little protective about prioritizing that we get the work done of hiring and building this year. Like right now, the middle school met today to build the schedule for this upcoming year. because there's differences. There's staff that aren't returning, there's positions that we had to cut. So I've told them, when we met for the pre-treat, prioritize hiring and building the schedules for the upcoming year so that we don't get caught not having that done. And then we need to also make sure that we hire as many staff as we can right now. So I think I need a little time to talk to the principals and build that team out, but I originally anticipated right after we kick the school year off and walk through the doors and everyone goes to the school that they get a schedule from, announcing where they'll be and what schools they'll be going to.
Okay. Nope, and that
So
makes
I'm
sense.
anticipating after the school year kicks off, a few weeks into the school year, makes the most sense to me.
Yep, thank you. And I think that makes sense
Yeah.
as well, just to get settled in.
Yep.
You're not mixing up the two. But I think as long as folks have an
Mhm.
idea of like roughly when they'll start to expect to
We
hear
can,
it.
we can set a date too, or set a timeline of when, it's in the next phase, so,
Okay,
which we'll put
awesome.
out.
And then, so I know we had the facilities subcommittee.
Mhm.
I guess two-part question. First question is, do we need to formally dissolve that committee? And then the second question is, there was mention of liaison, so we're not
Mhm.
necessarily doing a committee anymore, we'll have a school committee liaison. Can we speak to that and what that looks like?
So we have the liaison model occurring at some of our like SWAC, mental health and well-being task force. You have assigned liaisons that report out and can join and flexibly join meetings as they're scheduled. The benefit to that is as we meet and as we have updates, it's a little bit more flexible on it. When we have a subcommittee, we have a formalized meeting where we meet and we have to now make sure we don't break an open meeting law. So our recommendation, just based on my experience from the year before, when we did redistricting, is to have a liaison similar to our other committees, operate and be the go-to and the point person for the committee. And the chair would appoint whoever the liaison is based on I think on your interests. I think that's how you did it with the other one. So I feel that would be a way for us to be communicative, flexible, and make sure that there's a touch point for a school committee as a whole with a member who maybe is invested in this particular work, in this progress, that I think we could see a lot of value from.
And just to kind of add on to that too, yeah, we kind of, Lucas and I spoke about this, and as different topics will start to arise, then we'll kind of, because there might likely be multiple, depending on exactly what the subject matter is, multiple opportunities for other individuals, really all of us, to kind of step in and serve as liaisons all the way forward, and then everything kind of gets brought up to the full committee. And yes, in a future agenda item, we will be dissolving the old comprehensive facility subcommittee meeting.
A good example is Al's on PCC, but we had a PCC meeting dedicated to the reorg and how that would work. And we have another meeting that we'll continue to meet, but I think that seems to be a good use of a committee member with a group helping to facilitate. And if you imagine that across other areas, it seems like it could be a good model.
Cool. Great, thank you.
So, in looking at the ongoing engagement opportunities, I was wondering if you had any clarification on that, or if we could have that broken out a little bit more specifically with some examples as to what we're going to do in the phase 2 communications.
Yeah, I think our leadership team is meeting to finalize the phase 2 structure, and we can expand on that.
Okay, thank you.
Each principal who expressed interest came with an entry plan that talked about what's like a year 0 and then a year 1 and what would that look like, and that was part of our work and our selection in looking at that. And I intend to bring what we saw from each principal was just really outstanding work, and I think bringing that group together to talk through each of those entries, and Mrs. Morano was there for those. I think it will be well received, not only with the community, but with the staff and with our team as far as how we reorg. Keep that team tight, and you ask a good question, and I think we'll be prepared to share more information on that.
Erin?
I think most of my questions were covered, but just kind of following off of what Paul was just saying with community engagement opportunities. You know, I know we have the form online. I'd encourage it to be sent out again, but maybe utilizing the new website or the app as a means of communication and driving engagement through this process. I'm sure you guys are thinking about ways to utilize the great new site, but just something that's coming into my mind.
It's good feedback. Colin and I will take that back, certainly. We slow rolled the website because we're still working through, it's been published.
Yeah.
We're working through the kinks and trying to work. We had a webinar today, and we met
Yes.
with the team. We'll continue to update that information. But the app is available as well, so we'll put out a formal communication. It's been good to do this like a slow roll when it's the summertime, so that when people start to really engage with it, it's as tight as can be, so.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Just one other comment. When I could see the phase 1 status update on the screen here on Zoom, it was really blurry, hard to read. So I'm sure that, you know, you guys will have it available to send out, but just letting you know that if it's sent out via email or posted to the website, just to let folks know where they can view it and kind of be able to read it.
One thing we thought about doing on the new website, it has a feed and a news function. We thought housing it on the website in a specific section where people can go to, but also we can also select to have that phase 1 just pop up in the feed. So when people start to look, they can see an archive of these types of things. And I think it can live in both places. So it's good. That's good feedback as well. Thank you.
Cool. Sounds great.
Thank you. And just with that, with this document as well, yeah, because it is fantastic. I love the way it's kind of organized, where we can see what's already done and what's coming on down the pipeline. And when it is posted online, for some things, like say like the communication of like the principals, would we be able to, just as a hyperlink, include that letter itself? Just so that way people can easily, not only do you see the overview, the 30,000 foot, but you can really kind of just zoom in and say, here's the exact letter that was sent out, kind of explaining it and so on and so forth.
We can do that.
All right, awesome.
Colin, you take it. Perfect.
But otherwise, thank you so much. It's a lot of work that's already gone into this. And especially, I know we saw like the boundary lines and all the different demographics that you're looking at. It's a heavy lift, but you're hitting the ground running and no complaints. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So now we got information matters. Superintendent evaluation.
No updates at this time.
What about budget?
Budget, the school committee approved the revised FY25 budget on the meeting on the 27th of June, and we had our update this evening.
All right. We make it too easy for you. Policy.
We have not met since the last meeting.
Community relations.
We met on the Monday the 24th was our last meeting. We talked about what we were going to do this summer. So we do have a booth at the farmers market on August 23rd. So we'll have stuff there. We'll set up a meeting to talk through like what we'll share. But I would assume that it will be more magnets since we do have a ton left. So right before school, probably something about the new website, the app, and then whatever may have transpired between now and then we'll share. So, but we'll meet sometime in August before that meeting, the 23rd.
All right, fantastic. That was community relations, right?
Yep.
So then joint PCC.
Yep, joint PCC. We had also met on the 24th as well, so it was a back-to-back doubleheader for us, and that was actually intended just to talk through the upcoming redistricting work and consolidation. It was really just a brainstorming effort to talk through like what the PCC envisioned for the consolidation and just to kind of lay a plan of attack, start thinking through things. We will meet again after the boundary lines are announced so that we can then be a little bit more specific and really devise a plan on how the current year will end and the next year will look like.
Okay. Comprehensive facility assessment, kind of heard the update, but the committee itself hasn't met since then. Then, let's see, SWAC. Nothing, and what about?
Those committees
It's typically
concluded for the
nothing,
year.
yeah.
In late May, they usually conclude. Same
Same.
thing with mental health.
Mental health and DEI?
Mhm.
Okay. And then again, just to kind of reiterate with like the liaisons, as opportunities and topics kind of come up, I'm going to start shooting out some emails to everybody. So if you're interested, then we'll be in touch. And the same goes too, just for the community. I know committee member Gallagher had mentioned that community involvement form, the volunteer form that's on the website. And so please, I encourage you to kind of check that website out. And if you wish, kind of add your name to that list. We just have a growing database of individuals who are interested in a variety of topics. So as those start to come up, I might be able to reach out to you as well and pull you in some of these meetings. All right, but now moving on to consent agenda.
I recommend approval of the minutes from your June 18th, 2024 school committee meeting as detailed. And I recommend approval of the request of John Layton, who is here, to take the girls' basketball team to Augusta and Portland, Maine for 2 tournaments from December 27th through December 29th, 2024 as detailed.
All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as detailed?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as detailed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I'll open the floor for discussions, questions.
We're joined, Mr. Layton and his two captains, athletes, captains, okay, his co-captains are here. I thought it was great that they showed up to be here. It's important to them, this opportunity, and I want to just give you an opportunity to ask Mr. Layton and or his co-captains any questions you have, or if there's anything you'd like to share about the trip, Mr. Layton, this would be the opportunity. You want us to come up and take like a minute?
Thank you for having us here tonight. We're looking to do a trip. Luckily, since COVID ended, as you know, we've been able to get out and do more. We've done more with kids going overseas and doing a bit more trips, getting opportunities to go. Unfortunately for athletes, that a lot of those trips happen during the school breaks when they're in sports season. So we're looking to kind of, much like the boys did last year, they went to Florida with boys basketball. We'd like to give the kids a chance to travel, a chance to kind of explore. I outlined in the packet that you all received. But we're really excited for the opportunity to travel, but again, on a budget as well. So we're not traveling super far, we're not flying, so we're not dependent on flights. To try to keep the cost down, make it more accessible for all.
All right. Open the floor to any kind of questions. We'll start.
No, I have none. Gonna support this. I played basketball in Natick growing up. We were not rivals with Franklin, but love it. Go see what Maine's like. It's good that you don't have to fly. It's a pain.
No questions, but thank you for pursuing these opportunities and finding them for our student athletes. So yeah, we really appreciate that, and it seems like an exciting opportunity for you guys.
Yep. No questions. Thank you.
So my main concern is the difference in weather between Florida and Maine that time of year. Do you have a backup option just in case it's hard to get there?
No, not at all. I'm originally a Mainer myself. We'll get through this.
Thank you.
And Aaron.
No, none for me.
All right, wonderful. Good luck. Then let's see. All right. So now we'll do a roll call vote. Gallagher,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
O'Sullivan,
Yes.
and Callahan, a yes. All right. Passes. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Let us know how it goes.
All right. And so now we got good of the order. Again, just first meeting of the new month, gives an opportunity for us, any kind of recommendations or changes that could be made for the betterment of the school committee. Start over with committee member Gallagher.
Not for me.
I had something, but I completely forgot what I was talking about, so I will punt until next time. Good old.
Can't even blame the hour, too. It's, yeah.
It's too early.
Too early. Too early.
Second round.
I just wanted to mention, because I saw a parent, yeah, I mentioned when kids are signing up for sports, they can maybe have an opt-in button for boosters to be able to contact them. I guess it's become a little bit of a problem. Sometimes the boosters want to contact the kids participating and whatnot, so, and we're not really allowed to give information out, so if they could opt in, if that's not too much of a hassle, I don't know. If it's affiliated with the new website or not, but just probably any organization that has a boosters. This came specifically from football, but.
So like an opt-in feature for
Like,
people
please
who
feel free
register.
to share my information with the local Franklin boosters or something like that.
Okay, I can look into that.
Yeah, just like a
Yeah.
little.
I can talk to you more about it too to get
Yeah, I
more
don't want to
detail.
give you a big headache about it, but.
No,
figured
I
it
don't
was
feel
an
that
easy
way.
enough
I
thing.
just
Yeah,
want to
just
know
like a
exactly what we're
little
talking about.
nuance thing, yeah.
Okay. Boosters. Okay.
And one thing I'll say too, actually, I was just I was looking at our the budget book. I loved I think this is the first edition where it kind of talked about the Franklin High students that are off to college and what colleges that they're going to. We had a little page dedicated on that. Just as we start the FY26 budget book, maybe if we could also include just the branches of the service that some of our students are going into as well. I know we highlight that at graduation, but
Yeah.
just to include that alongside the colleges too. No, all right, okay.
It's gone.
Then heading off to citizens' comments. Are there any citizens in the audience, in person or online, who would like to make a comment on an item not on tonight's agenda and falls within the committee's purview? If so, just come on up, name, address, and try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Hi, Celia Courtright, 213 Peck. So I've got two things I'd like to mention. One, we keep reiterating that this is the biggest increase that we've gotten, and we keep referring to it in terms of dollars. When we look at it as a percentage, so that we are now, even with the increased amount of money, we're at about 55%. For, if you look at the official budget historical breakdown that the town puts out, just 10 years ago, we were at 56.6%. And if we were just there, that's another 1.5 million, which I know, still not level service, but to keep saying that this is the largest ever, we're still down from where we were just 10 years ago. So I think that's just an important thing to keep in mind. And my second thing that I want to talk about is on the $1 million in one-time monies, which I know we don't quite have yet, but we're hoping for. And there's a lot of things that are being proposed as to how to spend with that money. We have around 240,000 of it potentially going to the high school to pay for all the extra work the guidance department has to do for all of the things, us bringing back a few clubs and things like that. And even more money than that is going to the athletics department. Now, I have a rising junior who is in sports and is in music. Music has been absolutely decimated, including their honor society. While I want to support athletics, and I believe that we do need to support kids who can't pay and all that, the athletics parents repeatedly said, the boosters fund it, we can have higher fees to cover a lot of this. So my ask is that we bring back at least all of the honor societies before we really fund athletics and look into that. We've already stripped so much from the music community, can we at least keep the honor society? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark?
Thank you, Mark Minichelli, 31 Longfellow Drive in Franklin. I actually thought I was just going to come and listen tonight, but I can't resist. So I have to make 3 comments tonight. One on teacher resignations that took place outside of the layoffs. I wonder if each of those goes through an exit interview, and I wonder what the kind of cumulative feedback is from those exit interviews. We can all assume maybe what some of the factors were, but I think it would be really interesting and telling to hear what the actual data says about those. Second point, on the late June town council meeting, I was one of many who were in the audience that night. And the cuts from the other departments that produced the 1.45 million, I think it was, very great to have that sort of help. But as somebody mentioned, most of those cuts came from materials and services, not people. And I understand that. It's really difficult to lay people off. I've had to do it in my career many times, and it's an awful thing to have to do. But it makes me wonder. There were several layers of cuts that were presented by the administrator that night. And it makes me wonder what the right balance is, rather than all of the people actions coming at the expense of the school department and none of the people actions taking place anywhere else in the budget. And then my third point that I'd like to leave with you tonight is that during that town council meeting, several of us, including myself, had asked the council to please consider putting that override question on a ballot again soon. Some people said as soon as possible. My request was in the November ballot. There was some discussion about that during the meeting. I think there was a general feeling that the time was very tight, and there were some comments made about the need to communicate the implications of overriding versus not overriding in a better way to the community. I don't know if there's time to do that or not. I don't know who's going to make that decision. I don't know if the school committee is interested in trying to see that on the November ballot again or not. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are exhausted. But with our children's futures at stake, I think it's well worth investigating that option. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. All right, and anyone online? All right. New business?
Our next meeting is scheduled for August, where we will, I'm just gonna pull up my cadence here. Just bear with me.
Giving Al time to remember his point.
I just think I remember. I have just a tracking sheet of all the meetings and what topics we'll cover, and I think I renamed it, trying to be ahead of things for the next school year, and I cannot find it right now. So in August, we will provide another staffing and hiring update. We will also do handbook approvals. I'm blanking on the date of the meeting. Do we know the school committee?
13th.
Thank you. August 13th. Thank you. That was what I could not remember. And we'll have other pieces of, of our system where we need either votes taken or whatnot. I'm trying to think about, Ms. Morano?
Yeah, I'm thinking, nope,
Okay.
I think those, yeah, I think.
Those are the
Those
big,
biggest,
those are the big
and
items, so.
handbooks
And those occur in August. I just will confirm the date, so.
All right, excellent.
There's plenty of business to go around, so.
No doubt about that. All right, thank you very much for that. Then now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Debate, questions? Nope. All right, we got roll call. Gallagher?
Yes.
Griffith?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
O'Sullivan?
Yes.
Callahan, yes. Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Waiting for Aaron to say no. Like,